Oh, the Psalms. I know, everyone's done the Psalms. We have done some of the Psalms. There's so many, and they have so much. We're going to have to break it down. I'm going to start with something I learned as I did a little research, and that is the actual book of Psalms has been divided into 5 different books, sections. Okay? And it's going to lead us through David's life, and it's also giving us history of the Jewish people. What we find in the first section, or the first song or so in the group, will be kind of an introduction of the topic of what we're going to talk about or how I'm feeling. That's David a lot. And at the end of that chapter of that book, you will get a doxology. You will get a praise, probably, thank you. Okay. It's a format David uses a lot, and it's a really good form of prayer. Anyway, why David? You know, he doesn't strike me as badly as Paul. And Paul and I have made some peace, but I want David because we know so much more about him, that we get a character who is alive, who's real, who has influenced thinking of his people, of our people. He's an amazing person, and yeah, he has faults. He has a lot of faults. But he never really completely loses that faith that he was brought up with, that simplicity. Does that make sense? Okay, let's look back a little bit what we know about David. I kind of want to call this first section riding the roller coaster with David. Let's do a real quick wrap up of David's life, okay? What do we know about him? He started out as a kid in a working class home, very quiet, very solitary. Bethlehem was not a big city. And the time that David has as a shepherd gives him the solitude, the opportunity to think deeply and to pray and to praise and to wonder. He's grabbed out of this life. So, roller coaster. You start out, get in, you buckle up, and this is David. And he's training as a shepherd. He's getting ready for the ride. He's not quite sure what's going to happen. He actually has no idea. Okay, so he is in the cart going down the track, and the ride starts. Okay, boom, just like that. And he is in the middle of a court, a busy, messy court, something he hasn't known. Even so, he starts lowly. He's a minstrel because he writes songs, psalms, and prayers of worship that can be set to music sometimes. Okay, well, he starts out as the minstrel, okay, the songs. He becomes a companion to the king, eventually a friend to the king. He becomes a hero to the people, and he becomes a fearless leader of the armies of God. Wow. At this point, we feel the roller coaster just chugging along and picking up speed, and we hit a straightaway where everything is just really fun, moving fast. We don't know what's going to happen next. He has a great ride. And at this point, he hasn't changed from that innocent, humble, faithful boy. He has not changed. Unfortunately, that doesn't last. He has a lot of family issues, and he becomes an exile. He is in the middle of the desert, dry, hot, unwelcoming. He's a fugitive, actually, and he's running from his own son. Yeah. So, as we look at David a little closer, I'm thinking he had either some depression, we'll get to that, or a little PTSD. When he was out in this desert, running away, hiding, being not the king anymore, he actually puts together an army of all the other fugitives. And the idea is he's coming up one of those, where you're thinking, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And suddenly, boom, he is plunged down back into the mire and the muck. He lies about his past. Okay? He ruins the prosperity of the nation, not just his own. And he just wounds himself. His heart will never be the same. So, his sins have really affected his very soul. The ride kind of slows down now, and we're coming to a stop. We have David. He's depressed. He's exhausted. And he would need to leave with dignity. Okay? What he has done with the Psalms is give us human emotions, human reactions, day-to-day things that we think about and that we should talk to God about, as he did. I like David. I forgive him. I know that he is God's choice. Well, let's lift David out of the little cart, put him in a nice wheelchair, get him a drink of water, and let him leave the park gracefully. David is going to show us so much about faith, about bravery, and about betrayal as well. So, we'll start with the first section. Those are Psalms 1 through 41. Okay? As we go through, we'll talk about what the sections actually mean and who wrote each of the Psalms, as if we know it. Many times David, yes, and one other person who will show up later. Okay? All right. Quick first introduction. David, the man, the soldier, the poet, the king, the leader, the fugitive. Everything is in the Psalms. Everything we need. And then we find Christ. What a setup.